One thing.
You about to lose your job. Get this dance.
Yeah, get this
You about
dance.
to lose your job because you are detaining me for nothing. You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job.
Yeah.
You about to lose your job. Oh my goodness. You about to lose your job. Get this dance. You about to lose your job.
Get this dance. Detaining me for nothing. You about to lose.
Your job. You about to your job. You about to lose. Your job. How T-Pain do it? They do like do that whole little head thing. Or, I don't know, whatever the little chest thing. Then
Yeah.
Mariana hit you with the I don't know what that was. Well, 45 used to be.
What is up, folks? I am Dr. Socks.
And I am Dr. Jones.
Welcome to another episode of the Quarantine Snacks Podcast, aka PQSP.
Where you come for the snacks,
but you leave with some soul food. Don't you miss the soul food?
I missed it, bro. I missed you.
Man.
I missed this.
Missed it.
We're going to talk about it, though.
We have to talk about it. We don't have a choice.
Brian, I'm going to tell you right now, before we get into it.
Yeah.
I know you voted for Kanye.
There was like 5,000, I think, people in Tennessee.
50,000 total.
Bruh. What?
Listen, I am a fan of his music,
bro,
and maybe college dropout Kanye. I'd have thought about it.
Oh, but, yeah, I would have considered.
Graduation, late registration.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
But
considered though. I wouldn't have done. I would have considered it. I saw a post that put his numbers up, you know, with Biden and Kamala, and also with Trump. And the end of the post said, "How could you be so heartless?"
How could you be so heartless? For all the Kanye fans, y'all know. And I love his music.
Man, production's wild.
Yeah, I respect his art and his craft. Anyway.
Did I tell you I got a homie that's on Jesus Walks?
What?
Yeah, I got a homeboy that used to sing. I think it's Jesus Walks. At least I don't know if it was a final cut, but I do know that he used to sing with the Harlem Boys Choir. And yeah, man,
that's fire.
Kind of crazy, bro. But I'd rather Kanye give us tracks than to give us whatever he's been giving us lately.
But I think in time, he could possibly build a team. I don't think he's going to stop. I just put it this way. I think that he's a very creative individual. And I think that his level of creativity and want to create, I actually think if he ran and actually had a chance, it would limit his creativity. Because I think of, the policy side, the understanding regulation, understanding how to navigate, Democrat, Republican. I think
bipartisanship.
Birthday party is what he wanted to be, but he ran as an independent. So I'm just saying, like, I just want him to create. I want him to create, and whatever future forward thinking stuff he has, I would like for him to still influence culture, let that bleed into, local whatevers. But
yeah, I agree.
We got some really good news this morning, though.
Oh boy,
really
did we?
Good news.
What happened? Was it something?
I think it has something to do with a projected winner.
Oh, of what? Of the NBA Finals?
No, that was already LeBron James.
Ah, the king.
Yes, Bubble Bron did it.
Bubble
the purple
Bron.
Background.
The washed king.
No more. Never was washed. But yes. So not that championship, but another championship of the free world, I think.
Oh. This might be the championship.
This might be and who?
It was somebody. I mean, I think, isn't the name of the episode, isn't it like Biden?
I think so. I think it is Biden.
I think it's Joe.
And I think his vice president is a HBCU graduate, an African American. Is she the first?
First?
Is first woman.
First
woman.
Whoa.
And oh my God. You know, I'm very happy right now.
Brother, say it. Say her name like the punctuation. Kamala Harris.
Man. Vice President elect.
Man.
Kamala Harris. That sounds
love
good.
it.
That sounds real good. That sounds
I'm so
really,
proud.
really good,
I couldn't
man.
be prouder of our nation.
Yes.
Especially of us Black folks getting to the polls, getting to the mailboxes, following up with your ballots to make sure that they were received. I mean, this makes me as proud of Black folks as I was in 2008. The way they showed up to the polls. Folks who had never voted before. I got like a little niece who had voted for the first time. Crazy to see like the turnout. These numbers were outrageous, man. Like, it makes me feel powerful. Even though Tennessee went red, and I got a whole nother soapbox about, what to do with the Electoral College. I think it's absolutely outstanding that Black folks were like, yo, we can do this. You know?
Yep.
This is wild, man. This is wild.
And we also, one thing that this has also shown us too is that though we are happy with the results, almost half of America is not.
You got that right.
I was like, y'all thought he was doing a good job, and so then I have to remember that all of our lived experiences are different, and I still respect people who may have voted a different way. But what I do ask is that we continue to be intentional for understanding, because I don't know why they chose what they chose, but there was something that he spoke to where they felt that they were heard. And so for us, and I even like it in the messaging of what we're hearing from the Biden Harris campaign. And, as we continue to get things recounted and stuff, but he's a projected winner. But even in the language of uniting each other, and it's just something that I'm more familiar with from the leader of the United States.
Yes.
Not saying, this one side won. I'm just thinking about this particular, like an interest group of one party, but even the language of together we will do this. I am everybody's president. And that is just refreshing, just in the language, because I think that it helps us. It helps model the process of the types of conversations we have around things like politics. So.
No, man, I totally agree. Van Jones talked about that. We'll talk about him in a little bit. That might be your cousin. But
he he can pull up to the family reunion, brother.
Facts.
Definitely can.
Yeah, we talked about
money over there.
Bring it with you.
Bring it with you, reform. We'll take that too. Working on that. We'll talk about that later. Yeah,
my man. But yeah, he talked about how how language is not sufficient, but it's extremely important as a leader of the free world. The way you talk about racism or don't talk about racism really plays a significant role in what's happening. So it's nice, to your point, to hear Joe Biden being the kind of left of center person that we know. Man, what you got? I want to know what's going on. What's on your head? What's on your shirt? What's on your feet? What's happening?
Well, it's crazy, man. I don't know if you want me to go first, because I got some heat, bro. I got some heat for you.
Here we go.
I got some heat for you.
I throw my little nope. You're not gonna do me like that.
Because I called you earlier and you was like, I got some heat, something light. No, and you just left it at that. So
it's super light.
Usually every time you say super light, it means some fire. But okay.
And this might be something you've seen already. I got a feeling I've shown it to you, but it's just what I threw on with the shirt. So first, let's start with God is dope. We know God is dope. What I love about this brand, about this shirt, is that as I have my personal kind of journey through what I believe, what I feel, what I understand, I feel like that there's as long as I can conceptualize God in kind of the way I do, then like this really speaks to me. Right, this doesn't say like Christian God or Muslim God or the nature God. Right, it says God, and personally, I love that. Although I do think the brand is rooted in Christianity. So God is dope. We know a black brand. You've seen another shirt like this that I've had. This one I had to pick up when they had to sell. Black women matter. Obviously they do. You know, a couple examples of black women that matter that these young black women will be able to see are Stacey Abrams. We're going to talk about her a little bit later. Kamala, Vice President elect. Keisha Bottoms going hard in the A. We talked about the squad earlier. So Ayanna Presley, Ilhan Omar. Absolutely, all reelected. Rashida Tlaib, you know, I mean, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. I mean, come on, bro. Like, it's a problem.
I forgot you speak Spanish. I was like, you
A veces, a veces.
Perfect. That was
no,
like,
no todo el tiempo, pero a veces
hablo
un poquito de español. Okay.
Oh.
But man, like to really the message here obviously is that black women are important. They matter. They made us who we are, and so we want to make sure we support them. It's almost Christmas time. I know Thanksgiving coming. No one, you know, ain't tripping about Thanksgiving. These my Christmas socks.
Oh, hey, Santa.
Holla at the boy.
Hey.
Little Mickey Santa. Had to show off the socks. That's what Dr. Socks does. I gotta show you the socks.
Hey, listen, Disney has treated me well. I bought Disney stock when it was like $80 a share before they started streaming.
Come on, bro. I missed everything. I missed Zoom. I missed everything but Uber, and Uber is just creeping. It's real slow.
Yeah. Uber's making a comeback. They did a good job because they did the delivery service versus just the driving, you know,
exactly.
Of customers smart to diversify that to their clientele. There might be another podcast spinoff. Okay, but continue.
Facts. And these little shoes, again, you might have seen these already. These just some little Air Maxes. You might have seen the ones already. Nothing crazy. A little bubble gum for the check. A little teal around the
bring
inside.
A little closer to the camera. I think I can see the teal, that detail.
See that teal, that bubble gum?
Yeah.
Bubble gum is crazy.
Yeah, like the
bubble
Miami,
like
it's
got like like the Miami Vice colorway, exactly.
I like that.
It's a little something, man.
I don't think you've shown those before, but okay.
It's just a little, like I said, light, super light. I know you got something hot over there, but this is real light.
I ain't got too much, brother. Well, another thing too, brother, you got a whole new house. So that's another thing. Your background doesn't look the same. So when we talk about like something new, I'm just like, this is a new setup. Is that a whole room dedicated?
It is.
Office?
It is.
Oh, okay.
I've got a little dedicated office. Office / guest room. It's really nice. I needed more space because you know I'm working from home now, and at least like 70-80% of the time, and of course my lady, she's got meetings and things, so it just really helps us to have the extra space. So you know, a little office. Gotta work on put some stuff on the wall. So right now it's a little bare, but I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Well, good, man.
What you got going on, bro?
Man, I got some little stuff, little stuff. One of my absolute favorite clothing brand that I have been following for a couple of years, the hat, Life Journey. Journey. I love it. It's a guy, Christopher Hudson. I want to say he's out of Kentucky, I believe. My brother, Jonathan Collins, put me onto the brand, and I've been following it ever since. So the hat by Life Journey, their main thing is to believe, pursue, and inspire. And so believe in yourself, pursue your purpose, and inspire the world. I got so much Life Journey heat in my closet, bro. But it's gonna come out every now and then. So I want to start something like with the Life Journey hat. But I got some stuff in the future, brother. The shirt, brother. We didn't even talk about this. I didn't know what you were wearing.
Did not plan it.
You know, my shirt is by PBJ Goods and Company out of Greensboro. I'm not sure if the owner is an Aggie alum, but definitely Aggie affiliated. If not, a lot of his content, I think Darren Big Baby Brand, I went to school with him. He was vice president of external affairs, also on Wild 'N Out. He does a lot of their promotion. He has his brand with them. I don't know what that collaboration is, but it's his people. They rock with him. But they got this shirt. I love it. Black women deserve better. So apparently that's been on our mind, man. We've seen,
absolutely.
We've been big on this podcast for talking about, Black women and how they have been marginalized and just how intersectionality just pounds on them. And so we take it upon ourselves to make sure we're uplifting our Black women. Not to shun anybody else, but to say that
Right.
they don't receive the love that they deserve.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing it as much from Black men. It's, at least it's not as public. So
Yeah.
I'm excited that we have a platform to be able to talk to that and up our queens. Now,
Absolutely.
for the heat that you
Right.
gonna be like, ah,
No.
bruh. So I
No.
pre-ordered my stuff a while back ago.
Okay.
My
Okay.
favorite sneaker brand,
Uh-huh.
was Nike.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, again, all of this is Black owned too.
Dope.
Black owned shoe company, brother.
What?
Saya Collective. Now, the owner of
What?
Saya Collective is Delvin Carter.
Okay.
He's been on TNT with the crew, the NBA on TNT
Okay.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
past finals, but he has been releasing heat straight from his website, independent owned. He drops stuff every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and it sells out in
Wow.
a minute, bro. And so I was able to get in on some pre-orders. He has a line
Huh.
called I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna spell it out. PHUCK racism,
Uh-huh.
and it was socially
Hmm.
distancing from racism, right? So he made a
Okay.
shoe and a sock to accompany that. So I have
What?
the F racisms. And it's got the
Yo.
junks. Now, what I love about them
Hard.
too, brother, they're reflective. So, let me see if I can get it to reflect. You can see. I don't know. Nope. Okay, but it's
Oh
okay.
man.
That's fine. Blow your
That's gonna be dope at night with some shorts. The summertime. Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here it goes though.
And here go the
Oh,
sneakers,
oh,
brother.
whoa.
He has the F
Whoa.
racism sneaker, bro.
Whoa.
Saya Collective on the boy, and I love it, man. With
Yo.
the joint on the back, he even has the varsity jackets. But yo, listen, you see
Yo.
reflective a little bit. You see right there?
Yeah, that's
Up
hard.
close, it got like the Coogee look, but it's
Yeah, yeah,
ultra
yeah.
reflective. If these joints heat up,
Bro,
stand outside for about 10 minutes, these joints glow like you ain't never seen, bro.
man, shut up,
I
bro.
love this. So shout out to
That is
Delvin Carter and
crazy.
Saya Collective. Every Saturday they drop stuff.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he's independent, which is what I love about it. So I'm just going whoop
Dog,
de whoop
I'm loving
the
that.
Saya
I'm
joint.
loving that.
And so
I'm loving it.
got the box, yo. Like it's a legit, like
This is serious.
fire. Like yo, like when this came in. Now listen, now the main thing is called trust the process. He's
Okay.
independent, so if you pre-order and you sitting and you waiting a little while, a
Yeah.
couple of months,
Trust the process.
understand that you got to trust the process. He gives you a
Yeah, trust
weekly
the
update
process.
every week on all the
Yeah.
stuff that's coming.
Yeah.
But you gotta trust the process. And if you
Wow.
don't, it's cool,
Wow.
And so he just dropped a line of watches.
I gotta get on this, bro. You
Got a
always
little
got
bit of
something
everything.
going, man.
Yeah, man, I do a little something, right now. I got the,
Okay. I need some links. I need some information.
put
That
the
is amazing, man.
Saya Collective, brother. Yeah, I
Okay.
ain't really hitting on, but yeah. So that's it. That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
You know how we do. Socks, snocks,
Socks, snocks,
snocks,
Socks,
snacks, and drinks. So, you got any snacks today, bro? We even
man.
asked.
I was having. Let me show you the snacks I was having, man. This is not Black owned.
Mm.
But again, if you
That's okay.
find somebody who
That's okay.
makes these and they are Black owned, I will buy them. These are my harvest snacks,
bro. Tomato paste. That's my favorite.
Bro, my red look. This is the thing, right? Being a young Black professional, from the hood, bro. Like you couldn't have told me I would have ever even tasted. It's not a hot fry. It's not Cheetos, bro. These is red lentil snack crisps. With the tomato basil going, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Like,
now you want to be hot fries? Sprinkle some cayenne pepper in the bag and shake it up.
Here you go.
You'll never go back to another hot fry again.
Here you go.
I'm a weight loss journey, man. I had to figure out ways. That's dope. Man, I love. I'm over here looking. All I got is almonds, brother. That's all I got. Like I got some almonds.
That's what I need.
And some carrot juice and some beet juice mixed in here together.
Oh, I like that, man. I'm drinking water because last night I had a couple of beverages. I
saw your tweet. Can you talk about that tweet? Did you tweet this morning about drinking from home? Can you talk about that?
As I'm doing a little list right now on my Twitter page, like kind of like what I've learned during quarantine. I don't know where I got this idea from, but I learned the second thing that I've learned so far. I can't remember what the first one was. Oh, I know. The first one was that I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious, and that comes down to this whole election. I can't take credit for that. That's Michael Scott from The Office. So I learned I'm a little stitious. But the second thing I've learned during quarantine is that drinking from home is dangerous because you ain't got to go to the bar. You ain't got to ask the bartender, for a drink. You ain't got to pay double for the extra shot. You buy the whole bottle. You bring the bottle home. You pour what you want. You don't measure. I don't measure.
I don't measure. You actually pour a little bit more because it's like
and
no
and
low
so
pour. It's a heavy
and
pour.
so the real problem is after you do all that,
Mhm.
you sit down, you watch TV, chill with Bay, talk to her, and then she asks you to get up and get her something.
And that's when it hits you.
And that moment, that's when you learn you're drunk. That moment is when you learn, like, whoa, I didn't even know. I had no idea. I was just chilling, watching TV, and I got up and she looked at me and said, "What is wrong with you?" So yeah, but like I said, it's a little dangerous, man. But I ain't got to drive nowhere. I ain't got to pay extra. It was cool, man. So
Good,
that's what
good.
I'm
Well,
snacking
I'm
on, bro.
glad you're hydrating, brother. Glad
I
you
needs
survived
it,
through the night. But that's real. That's real, man. You get home,
man.
you can't drink and drive. You can drink and drive from the couch to the kitchen. There you go. So as long as you do it responsibly, do it responsibly.
Right. There you go. So thank you. Definitely thank you to our fans, man. You guys have been so patient asking us between episodes, when's the next episode coming? Where are quarantine snacks? And so I want to make sure I ask Jay, where have you been? Why have you not done an episode of QSP lately? What's
Been
been
a
going on?
been a little busy, man. Been a little busy. Outside of the work that I do on Quarantine Snacks podcast, my 9 to 5 is I'm a diversity and inclusion practitioner, as well as just a program manager for a very large company. And so, right now, with it being the political climate that we're in, just the divisiveness that has been going on, there's been a huge input and uptick in people asking, how can I be an ally? But also looking for training to raise awareness and stuff like that. So, been pulled in a lot of places and spaces. And so, with that, also understanding that I needed to maintain time for myself, for self care. We'll talk about that a little bit towards the end of the podcast too. But I just needed to take it easy, man. Listen to myself, spend time with the people that I love. Make sure I'm still being a good husband, a good partner, a good son, cousin, all that stuff. And so I'm still trying to figure out ways to do that even better. But just recognizing that I need that balance. And if I don't keep that balance, I can't do my job effectively. So just listening, kind of taking it easy. I say that, and I leaned in towards the things that I love to do on the creative side. So my balance was, I started a new podcast with my mom. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. So also looking at ways to continue to have the conversation that we would have. We would often kind of share similar to what we do. Times where we needed to have hit the record button because somebody else needed this. So
Right.
through my company Live Mighty, we created the Mother to Son podcast. And I think we're on episode 4 now.
Fire.
And really just looking to have conversations from mother to son, especially as I've gotten older and my mom has gotten older. So it's gone from a motherhood parental relationship to
Yeah.
I'm grown now, but I can still get bopped on the head, as she would say. But even
Mhm.
the understanding of her sacrifice and the things that she's done
Right.
has done and continue to do, um, I have a deeper appreciation for it. And so we like to, provide context from her perspective as a mother, from a son's perspective, and then we also touch on a couple of topics as well. So, been doing that.
Dope.
What else? Let's see. Outside consultations. So as I mentioned, I do a lot of work around diversity, equity, and inclusion, but I also own a nonprofit, Self Narrate, that I co-founded with my really good friend Brandon Tell. We're working on a few projects that we're doing around personal storytelling, understanding your why and purpose, and so we're doing that through the University of Florida.
Okay.
That'll be in the next couple of weeks, actually next week, and
Oh.
then doing some other stuff too around some courageous conversations and community building for inclusion. So busy, man, busy and
Mhm.
working out, bro. I've been working out consistently, eating right, I'm
My
gaining
man.
muscle, losing fat. Boy, I love it, boy.
My
I've
man.
never been a weight lifting liker ever. And now I'm like, yo, when you start to see the results, you're like, oh,
Oh
big
yeah,
fat clap. Oh,
man.
Then your wife see the results. She's like, oh yeah, oh
Oh.
yeah. Oh, I'm addicted now.
How
So
can I support you?
yeah. So I'm getting. My goal is to I'll see the abs one day. I
One
will
day.
see them one day.
One
But
day.
every day is a baby step towards seeing those abs that I know are there.
My man.
Um,
They already there. They already
they
there.
are. They are. I just gotta get I gotta sculpt.
Yeah, just sculpt. Just
Just,
sculpt.
They're gonna be there. Right now I have one ab, but
Ah,
it's a sexy ab. But okay, that's for another.
my man.
That's for another podcast. But anyway, go ahead, brother. How have you been, sir? You have some updates.
Yeah, I do. I
Okay,
do.
let's
I
talk
got a
about it.
couple. Numero
Uh-huh.
uno. Um, Still have a job.
Hey,
I'm a
good deal.
psychologist locally, and that has been um, interesting. Definitely the month of October was really interesting for me when it comes to work. People are just struggling, man,
Yeah.
and and my job is to help support people as they struggle, right? So
Hmm.
so that's been, I think, a little more emotionally and as a result, probably physically a little more taxing than normal. I mean, I guess that's to be expected, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic, many pandemics, as I would put it. Secondly, of course, I've got some outside of the job stuff going on, right? So I gave a talk actually yesterday to the local sexual assault center on black men, masculinity, and kind of black sexual assault in the black male population. So that was a really dope talk. Really enjoyed it and had a pretty nice turnout. Um, and so doing that, some other talks that I've done since the last time we met, um, and working on some other projects. Obviously, I moved and stuff. Um, I actually have a family member who recently became a police officer, and so he and I have some really crucial conversations around ways in which he can
Mm,
kind of impact this injustice that exists in the black community, how he can impact that from within, right? So
mhm.
kind of putting his money where his mouth is, which I thought was really dope. Um, and then, like early October, late September, had a little cough,
Oh,
and that cough kept going. Kind of
mm,
became a little low key fever, a low grade fever that turned into a high grade fever.
mm.
Some chills, some labored breathing, and eventually talked to bed. We went to the hospital, and I got that Rona, bro. I had that Rona October, I think 2nd was when I was like starting to feel symptoms. Went to the hospital, was there for a couple days. And after that, got home. And Babe was taking care of me, definitely helping me
Wait,
out.
you were in the hospital for a couple of days,
Yeah, man. I
bro?
was.
You ain't tell me none of that.
I ain't tell nobody, bro. I didn't tell nobody. I was just putting my head down trying to get through it. That's what it came down to.
But
Trying to get
yeah, I
through
mean
it.
that makes sense. You just want to come on the other side. I understand that,
Yeah,
man. But
man. Yeah.
bruh,
Yeah. Yeah. It was real in these streets. It was real. And I was only there for 2 days. Oxygen spike. Went back up, and body, did what it needed to do to recalibrate. And I think I stayed home about a week after that. Started working for 2 weeks from home after that, and I finally went back to the office last week. So um, October was a ride. Like pretty much the whole month was just coronavirus month. Like kind of pre-symptoms, symptoms, hospital stay,
and moved.
quarantining here. And I did move that I think a week before that, a week before I was exposed, I moved. So man, I just, you know, personally, I think one of the reasons I got it is because I um I really do think I was doing too much. I think, I got a lot of stuff going on and I know how my body works. I don't get sick often, but when I do too much, my immune system weakens. And when my immune system is weaker, I get a cold. I think I've had the flu like once in my life. So I'm a pretty healthy guy. But I know about once or twice a year I'll hit a wall. So to the point you made earlier, I'm really being intentional about what do I have to do, um, and then like starting to add on to that as opposed to what am I doing and trying to subtract. The adding style kind of works for me a little bit better. And of course, I've got some ventures that I'm interested in outside of my 9 to 5. So, man, just it was a little tough week and tough month, I guess. But I'm back at it. I'm back on the ground. I'm feeling like myself. I'm almost sounding like myself. So excited to kind of be on the other side of that. But it was a beast. Don't let nobody else tell you it's not, because the symptoms are different for different people. But my ride was a little tough.
Well, first off, I'm glad to hear that you're okay. Like I, I noticed I hadn't heard from you in like a week, and that was just out of the norm. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, and he was like, man, I've been like fighting this thing for like a week. But by that time, you were probably already in and out of the hospital. So like now I'm thinking like right now you're seeing live, me visually being pissed off that my bro did not tell me the severity in which he was, overcoming
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
October. And also I
Yeah.
know, you do everything like practice social distancing. You ain't been in these
Hmm.
streets,
Exactly.
So I'm glad that you're able to. For one, I'm glad again that you're okay, but also to be able to speak to the seriousness of even as someone who takes this seriously and
Hmm.
does everything as best as you can. This thing is real. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in certain parts of America. We just having pool parties all of a sudden and like acting like this thing is gone because we're tired of it.
Crazy. Yep. It's not
So
the case. Put your mask
uh,
on. Keep it on.
yeah, like
And
it,
even
it
then, stay
helps.
away from folks, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. But I'm glad you're okay, bro. We're gonna have another conversation about the level of hidden adversity that you did not tell me, bro.
Yeah, when we need to. That one, the talk I gave yesterday, I discussed masculinity and kind of the even obviously I struggle with some things around vulnerability. Like it doesn't feel good to tell people that you're struggling with something like that. So, and I'm a therapist, right? I help people do this all the time, right? Increase their vulnerability. Um, but it still sucks, and when you get in it, it's like, man, let me put my head down. You know.
Yeah, man.
So yeah,
It's the same
different
thing
episode.
within leadership education, bro. I can
Mm,
coach somebody, and it's like you can take your own advice. And so there are
yep.
times where you got to stop, take a step back, and self assess and say, am I listening to my own advice?
Yeah.
So I get it,
Yeah.
bro. And that's part of the reason why I'm pushing right now because I understand we're often the strong friends,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
and that also comes with some isolation. But
Yep.
so from one brother to another brother, you got me. So
Man, I appreciate that.
don't send me no watered down text about I'm good. I'm pushing through. Like, bro, you in the
Man, I'm good. I'm good.
hospital.
How you? I'm good. How you?
Yeah. Yeah, deflect, deflect, deflect. Yeah, I
Yeah, I'm
see
good.
it.
How you?
I
You
know,
good? Okay.
I know it very well. Yeah. So cool.
Man,
Yeah.
uh, man. So I also wanted to, we already congratulated the king.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah,
LeBron James.
LeBron James. I
LeBron
think it's this is
James.
his. Is this his first or second,
Third, fourth,
third,
fourth.
four? And he's got
Yeah.
some MVPs in there, some Finals
All four,
MVP.
every finals that he's won,
Crazy,
he's been the MVP of.
crazy.
Again, LeBron's my guy. That's my favorite NBA player.
Yeah,
Um,
hey,
hey, and he did it. Bubble Bron is what I'm calling him. Bubble
Bubble
Bron.
Bron.
Now I gotta see if I can get those the Wheaties, LeBron 18s. But
Man,
I don't know if they ever gonna come out. But we'll see. We'll
I
see.
saw. I think the Lakers ones, the ones that's got the purple on the front with the white clear joint, they crazy. I just ain't ready to spend another two because I just
No,
bought some other sneakers that's on the way, and those is
bro.
fire. I can't wait. I can't wait.
I got some
Yeah.
shit that I got this. My wife don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna bring them out the closet because I told her I was gonna resell them Jones and make a profit. And I got them. But
Oh
I'm like,
boy.
I can't sell them.
No, don't. Don't.
I probably shouldn't say that.
She
Anyway,
might not be in the room, but she'll hit us
she's not
eventually.
here, but she's gonna hit us eventually. But
Sorry.
by that time, I would have, done my due diligence to make sure she ain't too mad at me.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right.
Just gotta get
Kind of,
more outside consultations, get
man.
more,
I call it
more checks
pre-acting.
coming in. There you go. That's
Pre-acting.
all.
Pre-acting. Forget
Just keep the
reacting,
funds coming in. You don't mind if I get more shoes.
bro.
Premium money
Exactly.
and sneakers. Come on, guys.
Ex-
All right. Anyway,
Exactly,
what you do?
bro. So in addition, we talked about the other major chip that was won, earned.
Mm.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. So Jay, I wanted you to give us a little bit on why in the world this took so long. Why?
Yeah. So apparently, those some that are in office or those who are unfamiliar with the voting process. Every state is different, and they get to determine how or when they count ballots. And so many states actually, especially mail-in ballots, right? So many states allow you to go ahead and count the ballots as they come in before election day, and then they report it to the public during election day. But there are many states that still have policy that says every vote must begin to be counted on election day. So what we're seeing now, and part of the reason why stuff is too close to call and this, that, and the third, stuff still coming in from precincts, is because they had millions of ballots that were sitting, that were already there, and they had to start counting on November 3rd. So some states were able to let you know right then, wham, here we go. This is how many we have, this and the third. Another thing that I think is very important that I don't think people understand is the approach and how we were asking people to turn out. So even like when we talked about LeBron, his big push was, the voter campaign, voter registration, early voting, making sure you're checking in on all that stuff to make sure it's aligned. They even did things like, made sure that they, in certain states, felons could vote if they paid fees, but the fees were often elevated and very high, so they could never pay those fees off to vote. He worked with a bunch of people, and they together paid millions of dollars in those fees to allow felons the right to be able to vote again. And so there were several things that were going on, and in Atlanta, stuff was going on all around. So many people. My uncle Thomas was working with Stacey Abrams, Barack Obama, everybody. They're like, push, go into the hood and explain why this matters, and to vote early. We know a lot of those who are heavily affected most by coronavirus, were a lot of people of color, and often many were Democrats. So the approach was stay at home, mail in your ballots. It's the safest way to vote. And so there were a higher number of Democratic ballots that were mail-in ballots. And a lot of folks who have the ability to go and vote the day of, they did vote. And it was a huge turnout for both sides. This is the most turnout we've ever seen in an election, which is beautiful. That speaks to our democracy. But we just now see, that once votes were counted, now you're seeing a disproportionate number of Democratic votes that if someone is not understanding of policy and how that works per state, you can throw out comments or suggestions around fraud when that may not necessarily be the case. I like to say don't count your chickens before they hatch. But if, this is
you're right.
what happened. So really excited to see more votes coming and being counted and showing up the way, because I want every vote to be counted.
Absolutely.
That's democracy. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see the people show up on both sides, on all sides. So again, it's about the unity. I mean, I am excited and happy to see who won because I rock with it. But I also don't want to shun anyone who did not who it did not go into in their favor, because at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We're all human beings, and so we can have differences, but as long as we can form understanding, I think that's key. But yeah, so that's the part with the mail-in ballot thing that people weren't as familiar with. But they called it today. It is Saturday, November the 7th. They said that it is projected that President Biden, Senator President-elect Joe Biden,
Hmm.
and Vice President-elect uh, Kamala Harris will be our new president and vice president for the
Yeah.
United States of America. Beautiful.
A- Absolutely dope, bro. And the other thing that comes to mind is that we also have, as I mentioned earlier, have had some pretty amazing things happen in the Black community as it pertains to not just showing up at the polls, but also who will actually be representing us. So I thought that was awesome. To Kamala Harris, she's an alumnus of an HBCU. She came from Howard, I believe.
Absolutely.
That's really dope. A member of AKA Sorority Incorporated. Kind
Hey,
of funny
first fan.
that yeah, man, I hear you talking. And Stacey Abrams, we know that like her story. I'll list some names and then I'll come back. But Stacey Abrams, we need to get really talk about the impact that she had on this election. Keisha Bottoms, we know she's been fighting in Atlanta. Um, Again, Black women voters, I mean, they hit the polls, as we know. Some of the ads that I've seen that involve Black folks and getting to the polls have been out of this world. And then, of course, the squad, which I mentioned earlier. This matters because there are more people of color than ever in this particular Congress, in the 117th Congress. And I think that's just out of this world. Again, it's a reflection of our power when we actually do use our voices. But back to Stacey Abrams, I think again this is why Black women matter. Why, of course, as a result, they deserve better, like your shirt says. But gosh, like Stacey Abrams lost an election. I think she was running for governor, if I remember correctly.
Exactly.
Um, and man, like lost that election and decided to hit the ground running when it came to how to prepare um, people kind of all over the nation in a lot of ways in order to some vote for the first time, some to be able to vote because they might have been former felons or they might have been felons. But it's just out of this world to see that type of, I think, humility um, and strength as well. Again, it goes back to how important Black women have always been to this nation, and then ways in which that humility meets strength. I mean, that is incomparable, man, just out of this world. So really
Absolutely.
grateful for her hard work and the ways in which that's been translated into a victory for Vice President and President elect. Um, I think it's just out of this world. It's so special. The other side of that coin is,
Absolutely.
I've been watching CNN. That's like my, kind of my drug of choice, I guess, right now. Um, and because I think I like CNN because they're reputable. Just like the way they talk about what they do, and they're very careful, right? They're not going to make a projection days before, hours before.
Mhm.
And so I've been watching Van Jones on there, and want to read some of what happened with him. Because he was on, as soon as he got the news about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, he started sharing some of his own thoughts and ideas. And during that time, he started crying. So I'm sure there'll be a meme out pretty soon about him crying. There'll be a GIF in no time with Michael Jordan's head on top of Van Jones's body. But what the man said was, he said, it's easier this morning to be a parent. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. And then he goes on to say, it's easier for a lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry that the president doesn't doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry that the president is going to be happy to have your baby snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. I can't breathe. That wasn't just George Floyd. There was a lot of people who felt that they couldn't breathe. Um, so just some really rich stuff from Van. And again, to see this Black man, right, on this, just seeing his face, I think is
Yeah.
inspiring for a lot of young Black folks, myself included. And then for him to give those powerful words with those, I think, powerful tears to
Mhm.
show kind of how important this is, just blows my mind, bro. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting too, man. I've also, he said it, a couple of hours ago, and then you already get the rebuttal of, well, he worked with the current administration and, this, that, and the third. I'm like, listen, he worked on prison reform, and they got it passed. And again, it's saying we can disagree and still reach out to one another in that decency that he's speaking of, in showing character and morals and things like that. And so,
Right.
I just, again, I'm just very intentional on where we go from here. It's, you know, we've lived in a space of siloed spaces, from
Yeah.
whether it was COVID or political party or an ideology. Like we've created so many silos, and now it's about how do we build these bridges for
Yeah.
one another again, where it's together we can do this. We can have compromise. We don't have to throw such uglies at each other
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
thinking different. I mean, I know we're
Mm-hmm.
used to this algorithm having us think that on social media everybody thinks like us, but that's just not true.
Yeah.
Or blocking somebody who doesn't think like you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, what is the good? Like, how do you want to be remembered? That's my main thing. Is like,
Mm.
so, and I just hope that everyone else continues to do that right now. So
Mm.
glad to hear him speak like that, and then hear more people speaking around unity, around coming together.
Yeah.
And we're gonna we keep pushing. We keep
Yeah.
pushing. That's just what we do as a people. We keep hope, and we take those steps. Make today better than yesterday. And if we keep doing that, then every day will be better than yesterday. And so,
Man, that's
um,
amazing,
I'm
bro.
I'm excited for it, brother.
It's amazing. You make me think about kind of like you said, we can make our tomorrows better if we keep having these conversations and keeping an open mind. Um, and I like how Van juxtaposed both kind of what is said and the tone was the word he used, like the tone of the president around racism and injustice, how that will change, right? With Joe Biden's tone will be different, but that is not devoid of action, right? We got to see some things change, see some things happen,
Right.
which is why I think it's important for folks to continue to protest if that's how you feel that you need to express. We got to continue to make sure we keep saying Breonna Taylor's name,
Absolutely.
that Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, these
Mhm.
names that are really important, and the list goes on, of course. That we continue to. We don't expect Joe Biden to be our savior.
Nope.
We just think that he won't hold us back as much. I liken the election to, at least the feeling that I get, to like breaking up with a real toxic ex. Like, it's like, it ain't like I got a new, partner. It ain't like I got something awesome that's on the way. But the feeling that's left is like, well, at least I ain't got her no more. You know what I'm saying? At least I ain't got to deal with that no more. That's what it feels like. Like I ain't got to deal with Trump no more.
I ain't got no answers, but
Ain't
I can breathe a little
man,
better
I
today.
can breathe a little bit. And I'm not,
Yeah,
again, we're not expecting, I
yeah,
think we're not expecting Joe Biden to save us.
right.
But you also mentioned like kind of what's next. And I think it's good, at least in the state of Georgia, for folks to think about, well, what do we do next?
Hmm.
Um, and so I say like Georgia's on my mind because I'm not living there anymore. But Georgia, they might actually decide who has control over the Senate. There are two races that'll be happening in January, two runoff elections. Raphael Warnock and Kelly
Hmm.
LaFleur. That's one race. Raphael Warnock is the Democrat. Kelly LaFleur is the Republican. And
Hmm.
then John Ossoff and David Perdue,
Hmm.
Democrat and Republican, respectively. And those races are really important because
Hmm.
those two seats might move the Senate to being Democrat or Republican. So it's
Hmm.
really important that folks, I know you're tired. I know you're tired.
Keep going.
Um, but we need you to go back to those polls.
Yeah.
And then we need you to go back again for your school district. We need to go back again for chief of police or whatever y'all are
Hmm.
voting for in these different districts. And then in 2 years, we got to go back again
Yeah.
because some of these seats in Senate and House, I think the Senate and the House will be up for grabs again. So keep going. It
Hmm.
works. Obviously, it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're able to do something epic.
Continue to have your voice heard through your vote. And these runoff elections, that I mean, every election matters. And I think that that's the good thing that I'm seeing here is we are more informed on not just the presidential election, but also
Hmm.
how local politics plays a huge part. Um, and also, too, the expectation of a leader to lead us to the promised land, I think, has
Mm,
been dispelled given this year. 2020 has been a great year for us to understand that movements are from and through people, not through
mm,
one individual.
mm,
So even with the the president-elect and vice president-elect, there's still a level of accountability that we have to uphold them to.
Yeah.
And there's also a level of accountability for ourselves in our circles of influence in our communities, where we have to say, what have we done to make our community better? And
Mm.
then you leverage that power and it continues to grow, And so
Yeah.
I think we're seeing more, and we have to just continue that dialogue and those conversations that keep people understanding that we all have a part to play in this. We all
True.
have a part to play in this.
That's real. That's real, man. What about this self-care? You and I were talking about this earlier, man. Like, um, I guess the good question to start with is kind of why might people need self-care right now? I
Mm.
don't know. What do you think?
I mean, there's so many different things that are going on. You have, the fact that we're all siloed. We're dealing with COVID restrictions. We're physically distant, but that's also
Hmm.
made a lot of us emotionally distant
Facts.
from each
Facts.
other. Bro, it's just crazy, man. And then you think about the fact that everyone feels like they're not doing enough. But
Mm.
then on top of that, everybody's at home watching the news and dealing with post-election exhaustion. It's just
Yeah.
like now we're sitting here like, oh my God, I wanted to know November 3rd. Now it's November the 7th. And I'm
Yep.
just now hearing it, but we're still not having so, the other person concede. And like,
Yeah.
it's just a long drawn out mess where you can just
Hmm.
feel that anxiety, and I've
Yeah.
seen that in other places too.
Hmm.
We just have a lot that's going on right now. And I think we have to acknowledge how we're
Yeah.
feeling. And it's not the norm. It's not something that is a normal environment or circumstance for several different reasons.
Absolutely, man. That's I think so well said. The image I get, which sometimes I'll say like my metaphors are off, and I'll just tell my patients, look, today is just a bad day when it comes to metaphors. But like I'm thinking about like a dam, and like how there's like this structure that's there, and there's water that comes and continues to come and continues to come. So there's much more pressure on that dam.
Mm,
And if one day, right, we open a gate, right, all the water flushes through, the amount of pressure and stress on the dam relieves, but you might have cracks in the dam, you might have
mhm,
holes in the dam, you might have parts of the structure that are falling apart, right, because of the duress from the water building up on one side. And to me, that's kind of how I'm left feeling after this election. Like there's so
yeah,
much energy that has been like kind of brewing and broiling up. And Trump, at least through my experience with him the last 4 years, he elicits that from us. Like he
yeah.
kind of pulls from us that
He
like
ran on that.
exactly like either
Yeah.
the desire to be really powerful or the feeling that you are very like that you're not powerful, so you're fighting to become powerful.
Or
Either
someone's gonna
way,
take that power. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it
Oh
really
man.
pulls a lot from you, at least a lot
Mm,
from me. And in doing so, knowing that he won't be the president of this nation for the next 4 years really makes me feel like, like I said, it's like after years of being with somebody that ain't good for you, you afterwards you're like, bro, like
I just want to
I'm
stretch.
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
I'm going
like
for a walk. I don't.
yeah, I just don't talk to me, don't call me, don't look at
Yeah.
me, don't. I mean, I'm just tired, bro. And like you said, like and that's not the only thing that's going on.
No, because
If
bro,
that was it,
and like now it's cold, and we don't even talk about like how the
right,
environment and the weather and the lack of as much sun and daylight saving time that also has an effect, right? Because I know we
bro.
were talking about it earlier. What is that? What is that called? It's got like a certain term.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know what it was called, but I know everybody
yeah.
feels it. Like you talk about in
Hmm.
Portland, it's always gray and cold,
Yeah,
and like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the percentage of people with depression and stuff. Like they say, it's
Hmm.
environmentally focused. So
Yes,
tell me about that, because there have been some
absolutely,
times when
man.
it got cold here in Texas. I was like, "Yo, I am sad."
Yeah, facts, bro, facts. So, it is. So the term we're talking about is seasonal affective disorder, right? And
Mm,
depending on which diagnostic manual you might use, some folks kind of believe it's real, and some research shows that it might be the same thing, or maybe a little different than kind of your other types of depression. But what's sad is, which is interesting, that the acronym seasonal affective disorder spells sad. But what
real.
it is this reaction to changes in the environment that actually um, play a role in your mood, right? Your
Mhm.
experience, again, the word affect, so seasonal affective disorder, the word affect has to deal with kind of what emotions look like on your face, what they look like in your body, like kind of the
Yeah.
physical manifestation
Yeah.
of emotions, right? And we see this, right? We see it all the time. Um, when it comes to like, looking at your own, like you said, your shoulders, right? I know when my shoulders are doing this,
Yeah.
I'm tense and I'm tight, and
Mm-hmm.
or it's weird for me. My ears get hot when I'm angry, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's like another physical manifestation. But
Yeah.
sad can really look like depression when the sun's gone. I think is a simple way to kind of put it. And so Nashville, for example, I've only been here for a year. This is a weird place where, like, at least this year, the weather's been up and down and up and down. So it's 75 some mornings and 33 some nights, and it's kind of like, so the sun's out, but then with daylight savings time ending,
It's
then the
cold.
sun's down by
Mm-hmm.
4:30, 5 o'clock, right? And like you said, it's cold at night, and it's this. So in some ways, your body's trying to figure out what is going on, and I don't know if there's much research on the impact of global warming on the body and on the mood. But I
Mm-hmm.
imagine some of these environmental changes, our bodies are trying to figure out what's up, what's happening. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there will be some genetic, some epigenetic changes um, over time when it comes to how our bodies respond to the environment as the environment changes. Um, but the sun is extremely important, right? We know it's important for our immune system. It's important for our mood. And so one of the things you mentioned, I looked up on Amazon recently, they have like these little iPads and then kind of these like ring light looking things. And what these little iPads and little ring light things do is they emit a really strong like a UV light, and it just kind of gives you like a really bright flash of light. And when I was at the University of Washington, I don't know if this was ever confirmed, but I heard a rumor that there were some cool devices like these rooms you can go into and get like flash with a light, and it's supposed to help with your mood. So I don't know if that room actually exists. I never saw it myself. I thought it was the coolest idea. But I do know Amazon sells these little kind of portable versions where you can push a button and then, as if the sun were hitting you, kind of
Wow.
emit a light. And again, so it lets you know that we're well aware, right, that the
Yeah.
seasons
Yeah.
do impact our mood. The
Mm-hmm.
question becomes like, how do you intervene? Because I can't go outside and turn the sun up, um, turn the rain down. I think,
Yeah.
and so I think one of the ways in which I help treat seasonal affective disorder is finding ways to, one, like address our um, biases that discomfort, pain, depression, suffering shouldn't exist. That those
Mm-hmm.
things are pointless because they're painful. Um, like that's not necessarily true. There's a lot of richness
Yeah.
in the things that are uncomfortable. And then, secondly, of course, finding ways to help treat some of those, you know, disorders or concerns like SAD. Doing so, you know, with things like self care, things that may be really important like that. Mindfulness is another way we might approach
Mm-hmm.
this. And of course, some professional help, like a psychologist, social support can be really helpful during this time. And again, you gotta get creative with social support,
Yeah.
especially nowadays. But there's also that line where it may be helpful for folks to understand, like, when do I need to talk to my doctor about this? And one thing that's been changing in the medical field is how we use our primary care doctor as it pertains to mental health.
Mm.
Um, in other words, one, some systems allow primary care doctors to prescribe some antidepressants, like kind of the really common ones, which is
Mhm.
kind of cool, right? Because then you don't have to go get a specialist like a psychiatrist and wait even longer to see somebody for your meds.
Mhm.
But then, secondly, the understandings that primary care doctors, or the kind of their understanding of mental health, I know has changed, about its imperative, as well as kind of the luxury, if you will, or maybe a better word is the kind of accessibility that folks have to mental health help. By the same way you go into a primary care doctor and say, "Hey, there's this knot on my back. What is that?" You can
Mm.
also say, "Hey, I've been feeling a little weird. What is that?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then they can do some screeners sometimes and find out if you need even more help. So, being around people who kind of know your baseline can be
yeah,
helpful because they can give you feedback. But if you don't have that luxury, like you and I talked before about, quarantining alone, right?
Sure.
So if you are a person who might be quarantining alone, try to pay attention. This is why mindfulness can be helpful. Just try to pay attention to: am I feeling like myself? Am I enjoying things that I normally like, or not? Is my motivation a little lower than usual? And if that's happening more than half the time, if is my diet any different? Right? Am I eating a whole lot more, eating a lot less? If you see those types of things start to change, bring it up to your doctor. Just bring it up and say, "Hey, this is what's
Yeah.
happening with me," and you might be able to get some help.
Man, I think that's so spot on, bro, and needed to be heard right now. Because a lot of us are high functioning people that are dealing with depression and may not know. And they can show up in different ways. So
Yeah.
to the outside world, it's like, oh man, that person is killing it, and you don't even know inside something is killing them. Like
Mm.
emotions, thoughts, and, and,
Mm.
and feelings. That's so needed to hear. You say that, and also too, one of the questions that I had too, and I'd love to pick your brain about it too, is like if you identify, you said, have that circle of friends, that circle of influence who can provide that feedback. What are some ways? Because I think a lot of folks may identify that something may be different, but they don't know how to
Yeah.
say it to that person without offending that person.
Yeah.
What do you have any advice on how they can, if there are certain ways to phrase things or
Mhm.
something to say, I
Mhm.
noticed this and I care about you, so I have to tell you in a way. I don't know what
Yeah.
that looks like. And I think
Mhm.
our listeners will probably get something from that if you could kind of mention some.
Yeah, it's a really great question, Jay. I think what comes to mind for me more than an instruction, right? Kind of what to say, and I think we could probably put something like that together in the future. I think it's more of a principle, and I
Mm,
think the principle here might be when you can't say the thing, or when
mhm,
you can't talk about the thing, talk about talking about the thing.
mm,
Um, and so what that might look like is, I notice, okay, Jay is feeling down lately. He's not really eating. He's kind of detached.
yeah,
Um, I might want to start the conversation with, hey, man, I noticed that well, first off, let me pull you to the side by yourself, right? I don't want to talk to
okay,
you in front of the whole group. I want to
right,
kind of
right,
try to decrease your defenses. Might check in with you. Hey, how you doing? Kind of just start there with a basic general check in. Um, and again, what that might communicate is just a reminder, like I do care about you as a human. I do care. And then the other principle is, like I said, is to ask the person, well, hey, like there's this thing I want to talk to you about, and I know we usually joke around and whatever, but it's really important. And my fear is that if I tell this thing to you, or if I ask you about this, that it might not sit right. It may not go well, or that
right,
you might have a reaction that I'm not intending. Because my intention is only to express that I really care about you.
mm,
When you share your intention and you're able to talk about your fears related to that, I think that vulnerability starts. I think that vulnerability, much like anxiety or depression, can be contagious.
yeah,
It might open the other person up just a teeny bit, enough to say, okay, like I'm not gonna be defensive for the next 10 seconds. I'm listening,
yeah,
right? And that might
yeah.
be enough
That's
time
so
for you to
good.
say,
Yeah,
hey, homie, I noticed you're not feeling so well, or no, this is what I noticed.
yeah.
You know,
It's crazy because if one of the things that I get asked a lot in diversity and inclusion is around those, I guess, courageous conversations.
hmm
And that's something I always, mention too. You touched on it too, impact versus intent. You lead with the conversation around the intent. Like, I want to have this conversation, and you explain the why. And then if the impact is different, they understand that it's
hmm
from a good and a healthy space where you're
hmm
not trying to hurt or harm, but
right.
you're looking after their well-being. And that
hmm
trust there is what allows those conversations to be had.
Yep.
Man, that's so good, man. I appreciate you sharing that because I think that a lot of people are fearful to share those ideas, and they might identify some things and maybe feel spaces of regret that maybe they wish
Yeah.
they had said some things. So, given that, I think reassures a lot of folks in understanding exactly where, how they can help and how they can show up for one another. So, thank you for that, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I think we're right about at the hour, man. And I think
Yeah,
I think we covered a couple things.
we did all right, man. We did all right. I like it.
But all right.
Yeah, this is it doesn't feel like we took a month and some change off. Like we right back in that thing, brother. We actually sound rested and here and present. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be able to do this with you, man. Whenever we have the opportunity, we're gonna try and keep them at an hour. so we can provide more content where it's not a 2-hour pod,
Yeah.
but maybe 2 1-hour pods. But thank you all for continuing to listen and to tune in. We're getting, we're seeing our numbers grow on Spotify, Apple
Yeah.
Podcasts,
Yeah.
on Facebook, on
Yeah.
YouTube. Continue to like and share and subscribe. That just helps us grow. If you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple Podcasts, if you can rate us and leave a review, that
Yep.
helps us to be discoverable. So if you're getting something from this, please tell someone else about it. And let's continue to grow. If you know a Black-owned business, that or a business that has a focus on creating equity in the Black community, let us know too, because we're trying to continue to support companies that are pouring back into our communities.
Yeah.
But yeah, just man, continue to like, share, subscribe. We're everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Hey.
YouTube, IG Live.
Gosh.
Like,
Everywhere.
I'm gonna put it on
Everywhere.
a kite and just put it in there. Like, we're everywhere. We're everywhere, man. And shout out, man. We might have some merch and some other things coming soon. We've been talking about
Yeah.
Patreons and how we build
Yeah.
it. You look at Dennis, man. If I don't know if those who are listening, his voice sounds extra crispy. He's invested in his podcast studio, man. Yeah, man. Got the lighting for those who are on YouTube. We're doing some things. I got lights in the background. We're
It's
trying
funky.
to. Hey,
Yeah.
we are trying to give you the best content we can give you.
Absolutely.
So please just return the favor and just sharing and giving this to somebody who might be able to get something from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jay. I want to remind folks you can find us on Facebook at Quarantine Snacks Podcast. You can find us on Twitter, the same. You can find us on IG, the same. You can find us. Where else can you find us? Outside, YouTube, Quarantine Snacks Podcast as well.
Outside, 6 feet away though.
Facts.
With a mask on.
And the only exception, of course, is Twitter. You can find us at the QSP. That's TheQSP. This is Dr. Socks.
This is Dr. J.
Until next time.
Hey. Peace.